need to tune into for the entire hour. I know you will anyway, but it's going to be some very informative, some facts that need to be brought out tonight. And we want to hear one man's story of an illegal search and seizure that happened September of 2013. My guest tonight, Alvin Sutherlin, who I know, he is a businessman here in the city, a tailor in the city as well. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us tonight. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Good, good, good. It's good that you're here, and we want to allow you the time to go through the entire story. We also have video footage that we are going to show tonight of the search that occurred with the Danville Police Department, the street crime unit, and we want to make sure that we specify that it was the street crime unit of the Danville Police Department. And we're going to give you the opportunity to call in tonight as well, the second half of the broadcast, 835-4802. The numbers are on the screen. But listen, you really need to pay attention to the story. Watch the video footage that we are going to show of the search, again, by the street crime unit of the Danville Police Department. Alvin Sutherlin, you had an unfortunate incident that occurred September 2013. Take us back to the beginning of that day, and even before then, that led up to the events that occurred.
Well, basically, I was home and basically preparing dinner for my children when I overheard some commotion within the hallway. As I came out, which I was accompanied by one of the other individuals who stay at my place, me and her, we came out and, realized there were police officers in the hallway with guns drawn, pointed at us.
Guns drawn and pointed. Were your children home?
Thank goodness they were not.
Okay.
They were actually next door. And I had the door unlocked. So basically the officers never knocked or announced themselves to identify their purpose before they entered.
Now, what is the regular procedure? Because you were taking me through some things. What is the procedure of a search, or if the police have a warrant?
Well, if they have what they call a no-knock warrant,
okay,
they can basically just come in and perform the search, which is defined by the venue of the warrant,
okay,
meaning whatever is written on the warrant, they have to stay within those parameters. But of course, in this case, there wasn't a no-knock warrant. But as they came in, they actually indicated as if they did have a no-knock warrant, and also they indicated that they actually had, gave me the impression that it had a warrant with my name on it.
Did they have a warrant with your name on it?
No.
So they didn't have a warrant with your name on it. They didn't have a no-knock warrant.
And I wasn't even within the location defined on the warrant to be searched.
So what did this search without a warrant or no-knock warrant stem from?
Well, after I went to the circuit court and actually got a copy of the actual affidavit that was sworn out to gain this warrant, it stated that based on a reliable informant, which actually is considered secondhand information, that there was quantities of marijuana and the sale of marijuana from set location defined on the warrant, which was the first room on the left when you first come into my home. Okay. Within the last 72 hours.
Now, I know you said an informant, and we usually don't know who the informant was, but I'm taking it, didn't it have to be someone that knew you or that was close to you?
Well, the thing is, there was no quantities of marijuana.
No marijuana anyway?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I had none. I will admit there was a friend of mine that did get charged with possession for a marijuana cigarette. But
you weren't selling or didn't have any marijuana in your possession?
No.
Let's go back to that day when the guns were drawn, and of course we're going to let him walk through the video. We're not going to do that right now. You can come back to us, Fabian. But when they came in and the guns were drawn, what was your reaction? I mean,
shock.
Right.
I mean, my first statement was to the officers, y'all just walked up into my house. And
how was their demeanor?
They were as if they were in control, and you do what we are told because we have the right to do whatever. And I got 10 police officers, guns drawn. I think they would take the position of control at that point. And
I'm listening to you even as you're going back to recall what happened. You still have I don't want to say so much a hard time, but like when you go back and relive it,
Oh, yeah,
does it take you right back to that place when it happened?
The first thing came.
We want to let people understand.
It was scary.
Traumatize them, would you say?
Very, very much so. I mean, I've heard too much of situations where you have officers, shooting people, because they feel threatened based on their, impression of being threatened.
And this happened right here in Danville, Virginia.
Yes.
And let me ask you this, because we're going back to 2013. And before then, did you have friends or associates that have dealt with a situation that you have dealt with? Or even after 2013, do you hear of these situations? And we're bringing it up because we do want people to call in the second half that may have gone through it. But did you hear of situations like this before with informants or people that may bring a false allegation against you or anyone else?
I've actually, after the incident, I've actually been in contact with at least 3 other people who have told me personally that they've had very similar interactions taking place where, the officers came in, had no warrant, then got the warrant after the fact. I mean, I have a friend of mine that serving 2 years right now.
And what are they serving those 2 years for?
Possession of a firearm.
Did they have a firearm?
He was in a hotel room, and the firearm was found in there, and he was charged with the possession. But the thing is, he told the police officers, you can't come in, but they came in anyway.
Let's go back to this case, and this again happened in 2013, and let's go back to the video too. We're going to get you to narrate it in the second segment. But I want to go back. After you went and found out that this was an informant who, in fact, had given the police some inaccurate information concerning you and marijuana.
I would say it was a supposedly.
Supposed informant.
Right.
Why do you say that?
Well, because under Virginia law, if you have an informant and the informant is not directly involved in a transaction, they never have to come to court or testify.
Really? That's information I didn't know. That's good to know.
So basically, someone can actually just, officer could, or a person who swore out a warrant could say, well, hey, this is what I heard. Unfortunately, even when they swore the affidavit, there was no information that legitimized the information that came from this informant. Details, other than that they were reliable. But reliable means, well, what other cases have they given information? And none of that was present.
None of that was present at the moment. So let's go a little forward because we want to talk about other things too, like your livelihood. You are a businessman, your children. We'll do that in the second segment. But right now, I want you to go back. After this occurred, what action was taken next by you? What did you do after you found out what it stated?
Right.
After you...
Well, I didn't see the warrant.
You never saw the warrant?
Not until after they left. I actually asked to see the warrant.
But aren't you supposed to ask to see you can? Don't you have the...
Well, see, the thing is that, again, I was given the impression that these officers had a no-knock warrant with my name on it. Once I finally saw the warrant, it basically was defined to one area, which I was not even within. And it actually was like a general warrant. It had nobody's name on it. It just said all persons present.
It didn't even have your name on the warrant?
No.
So your name was not on this warrant, which you assumed it was a no-knock warrant where they could just come into the home without knocking.
Well, if you hear an officer come to your home and I said to them, you just walked up into my home, and their response was, we have a warrant just to walk up in your house. What else would you think?
But it didn't specify, but it did say all people who were present in the home.
No, all persons present.
All persons that were present.
And then defining the area within to be searched. So that would mean that they were able to search all persons within that area, which was the first room.
The first room, right.
That you first come in. And even in the video, they clearly stated, we're just searching right here, and told myself and the young lady that was with me, y'all can go on back because the search is for here, not over there.
Let's do this. We're going to get Alvin to narrate the video when we come back. We wanted to set up what was going on in this first segment. Again, there was an illegal search and seizure that occurred back in September of 2013. This, again, is his story, and I'm so glad that he's here to share it with us tonight. And we're going to give you the opportunity to call in. We want you to call in, share your stories as well, and if you have a question or concern from Alvin, we'll let you address it and ask him too. So listen, we're going to take a break. When we come back, you're going to narrate that video for us so we can understand more about this interesting story. And so unfortunately.
Well, I probably am not the only one that's had this happen to them.
Yeah, well, you said that you've talked and met more people, so
Definitely.
We're going to talk more action that occurred back in September of 2013 that has led to a series of events that have occurred and happened with him in his personal life, in his professional life. And you're here tonight. What is your purpose behind telling your story? What did you want the public to know?
I'm not the only one that this has happened to, because I know there's other individuals who've had similar situations.
Yeah.
And it's like this: if you don't speak on something, how can you put a stop to it? How can you have it addressed?
But aren't people scared? I mean, because I hear it all the time, even people that call into the show, or they will say, well, I don't want to say anything because nothing is going to change anyway, which leads to my question. How important is it for people to know their rights and take the correct action? Did you know your full rights before this happened? Had you already known your rights?
I had some knowledge, but I'll just put it this way. I became more
knowledgeable
fully after the fact.
So it's good to know your rights. But let's talk about the fear sometimes from people that are watching tonight that have gone, will go, or in the midst of this same situation. There's a fear in Danville. Come on, let's be honest, Alvin.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you have all this stuff played out in the news. You know, people getting this happened to them by a police officer, which is unjustified, and they don't find anything about it because it's the officer's word against yours. And until then, all of a sudden, there was an incident in New Jersey where this gentleman was basically charged with several charges, and if it wasn't for the video, he would have gone to jail. Well,
let's show the video. By the way, this is a video that you actually subpoenaed from the court, correct?
Yes.
And this is the police officer's video from their body cam.
Exactly.
So what we're going to do, let's show the video. Here we are, and I want you to narrate it. Go ahead.
Well, the officers are basically on a single file.
Take out the lower third, Fabian.
Walking toward my home. They're in single file. That's, and basically this is how they do when they perform in a raid. And I say that what they were doing was performing an illegal raid. And they gave that impression that they were doing was legally. And anytime an officer comes in with a warrant, they must, first of all, announce their purpose and identify themselves.
Okay.
Which they never did in this case.
Okay. And we don't have the volume. I wish we had the volume on this video, but due to some technicalities, we don't have the volume. Have you heard people say, well, isn't it their word against yours? Have you heard people say that or give you that response?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you say to them?
Don't give up.
Don't give up. Let's continue. Go ahead and finish narrating this. So they're leading up to your door.
Right.
This is the door of your home.
Okay. One officer opens the door. This officer, then the female officer says, whispering, hurry up, go ahead and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boom. They announced themselves.
So up until this point, you didn't hear them even approaching the home?
Didn't hear them because they were whispering coming in.
Okay, so here we are. Go ahead.
Right. Then you can't see, but I'm actually coming out of the kitchen and asking, what's going on? And officers say, stay right there, don't move. And I say to them, you just walked up into my home. One officer said, that's right, we got a search warrant, thank you. Another one said, we have a search warrant just to walk up in your house, which gave me the impression they had a no-knock warrant.
Okay, so at no time they presented anything to you that said we have a warrant even after you asked? No paper, did they?
Well, they actually did show a piece of paper.
Okay.
Right here, the officer is coming to me and says, I'm going to be straight with you. The reason we're here is because you sold marijuana to an undercover police officer, which I looked at him like he was crazy.
As a matter of, and he said it as a
And
matter
right here,
of fact.
he's saying, well, it's okay, we're here now. And I asked her, well, let me see the warrant. He throws a piece of paper up, sticks it back in his pocket. I asked again, I want to, I stick my hand out, said, let me see the warrant. The other officer tells me, go over there and wait.
I'm watching it, and you said that he said that you served marijuana to an undercover. But did he say it matter of factly?
He said, I'm
in
going to
an
be straight with you.
accusatory way.
I'm going to be straight with you. This is the reason why we are here, which gave me the impression that they had a warrant with my name on it.
Tell us what's going on now. Which room is this?
This is my office.
Okay. And you, again,
Yeah.
tell everyone your profession.
At that time, I worked on computers. I've been self-employed working out of my home for over 15 years.
Since 2002.
Yeah. See,
Okay.
right there is where they took my money.
Okay.
And, of course, it was passed from one officer. Of course, like this, look, I'm feeling intimidated. I got all these officers standing around me. Of course, I'm feeling as if he probably got a warrant with my name on it, even though they didn't show it to me. So he asked for what I'm going to cooperate. I mean, they said anything in situation with a police officer, you should cooperate. So I'm cooperating.
Okay. So no incident from you or even those that were in your home, as far as talking back or to the officers that were given. And we're getting a phone call. Do you mind taking a phone call now?
No problem.
So let's do this, Fabian. Come back to us. Let's do box to box with this. Let's continue to show this video. And I believe, actually, this is a call off the air. Caller, you can give us a call back. You're calling live on the air right now. We're not taking phone calls yet because I want you to continue to go through the video. So come back to the video for us, Fabian. All right, go on through.
Well, basically, the officer was basically asked, after he had took my money, because I had just collected rent from one of my tenants.
Okay.
And I had inquired to out loud, said, did you not just pay me rent money? Which she affirmed, yes, I had just given you $400, all in 20s. Which then you could actually, if the volume was there, you could actually hear that.
Right, and I again apologize for us not having the volume because we needed to hear it, but I'm glad you're narrating it because that money probably, they speculated or it was speculative that it was probably the money from marijuana.
Well, this particular video, I've actually posted it on YouTube.
Yes, and also on social media too. It's been on Facebook.
Yeah. I put it on. So if they just put in my name, Alvin L. Sutherlin Jr., they can go to YouTube, put that in, and
hear the volume on it.
Hear the volume.
Continue to take us through and narrate this for us.
Well, the officer whose body camera we're getting a view from is the one that the money was passed to by this first officer who blocked me from seeing the warrant because the other officer left with it and told me to wait, which, of course, I'm cooperating and I'm waiting.
Good for you.
And he basically now has my money that they took, which you can see in his hand. Well, there was just a view there of it. I think the camera backs back off and you can actually see. He actually then inquires about it to one of the other police officers in this video also. Okay. So after this, take us through it. When they left, what did they say? What was their response to you when the search and seizure was finished? There you go. See,
okay.
You can see him holding the money.
Okay, there's the money.
And they actually put this on the warrant indicating as if it was found within this room.
Okay, but again, this was money from your tenant.
Right. And yeah, it was not out. It was not in plain sight. It was taken from my wallet.
Right.
It was a total of, it was $550 of rent. Well, of course, I was served and fought the Commonwealth through the Commonwealth Attorney's Office and a civil forfeiture case.
Okay, let's talk about that that forfeiture case again for that money. When did that case go to court?
It went to court. I believe it was. Actually, it was finalized just June 9th of this year.
Wow, so it's been that long.
Yeah, and I won.
Well, that's good. So that was a victory for you.
Yes.
How did that court procedure go? What was that like?
Well, I represented myself pro se.
Did you? Okay.
And my mother, who's the actual owner of the property in the business.
Okay.
And say I've managed a rooming house that is within the property.
Okay, let's put the lower third back up just for those who are just tuning in. Go ahead.
So when we went to court, she had to make proper claim, which proper claim was made, but on the actual trial, I would say it was kind of a little comical because...
Explain to us proper claim for those who...
Basically, you are submitting in a motion or paper stating that this belongs to me and I am claiming that this is mine.
Okay.
Which was done. When we went to court, the I would just say the Commonwealth Attorney's Office attorneys said to the judge, which I will give props to, which was Judge Milam.
Okay.
The Honorable Judge Milam, Chief Justice of the Circuit Court. He, gave a very fair ruling because the office, I'm going to say the officer, excuse me, the Commonwealth, was insisting that no proper claim was made. And the judge looks at his paperwork and says, Ms. Carson has made a claim on this. And they said, well, she didn't do it within the 30 days. And of course, the judge corrected them, stating, well, she made claim on her money before the 30 days even started.
Okay.
Then the next argument that they came up with was, well, she didn't do it in person, which was kind of ridiculous considering the papers were signed and properly notarized. It was proper legal form.
So in all, you won that victory.
Absolutely.
So that won that battle. Can we talk about this case? What happened after this SNS, illegal and search and seizure that occurred? Again, this video from September 2013. You can find it on social media and also on YouTube, Alvin Sutherlin. What happened? Let's go through that now.
Well, last month, I actually filed a federal lawsuit against the police officers involved in this illegal search and seizure.
Okay. So again, it's been 2.5 years, but I guess, so you filed a lawsuit. But
well, it has been less than,
it's been less than 2 years.
Well, it's been a little over 2 years now because
Right.
It was September 25th.
Exactly. But I guess what I'm asking is with this particular incident right here.
See, there you go. You see him waving the money. You're
Okay.
asking about the money.
Okay.
And I think if I remember correctly, he was indicating that, about that, it was stating that this was rent, which the officers, were told that this was rent money, which they tried to indicate that it was drugs profit.
Right. Before you filed the civil suit, though, I know you filed that, but what happened with this incident? We want to know because, okay, they've come into your home, SNS. We know that you filed that. We know that you won.
Right.
But what happened with this afterwards? Did you have to go to court?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you obtain an attorney did you represent yourself in this case in court?
Well, the civil case, I've represented myself.
Okay. But with this?
Well, this right here, they actually right now I really can't get into too much of that.
Okay, you can't talk about it right now.
Because it's right
now. It is in court.
It's matter of fact, it's in the Virginia Court of Appeals, and it just went in front of a 3-judge panel last Wednesday.
Oh, wow. So we can't talk about that right
No.
now. It is a pending case. Okay.
Right.
But we do know, we want to talk about some other things. When we come back, we want to talk about your life, your business, your children. How has this affected your reputation and just your well-being in general? We're talking with Alvin Sutherlin tonight, and we will give you the opportunity to call in and weigh in on this topic. Not only weigh in, but also share your own stories. Has this happened to you? Could it happen to you? And find out more about how you need to be able to represent yourself and take up for yourself or stand up for your rights when you feel that you have been violated. We'll be right back with more of this. We were just chatting a little bit. I guess both of us are on the same page when we say know your rights. It's important to know your rights. And your Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution provides the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation. So that's your Fourth Amendment right. As we go back, speaking of your Fourth Amendment right, back in September 2013, let's talk about probable cause. When they came in, I guess now as you're going back and you have more knowledge,
Right.
of the system and more knowledge of how things are processed in our courts. And through, again, this was the street crimes unit of the Danville Police Department. Let's talk about probable cause. Did they have probable cause even to search you?
Based on...
Let's show the warrant too.
Well, based on as they identified the reason for it, I felt that they did because they indicated that, first of all, that they had a warrant I should say, based on the way they presented themselves after they came into the home, they stated that to me that they were there because I had allegedly sold marijuana to an undercover police officer.
What are we seeing right here?
You're looking at the actual, that is the affidavit.
Okay.
That was sworn out by an officer to gain the warrant, which stated that which was completely contrary to what it was said to me at the time. Because I was under the impression, listen to what the officer said, look, people don't know, I'm originally from New Jersey.
Okay.
My mother used to work for the police department, so I grew up around police officers as a child.
So that's a good point to bring out too. What did your mother think about this case? Being that she's worked with the police department and she has knowledge of the law, what did she think when you first told her about your situation?
They robbed me.
Those were your mother's words.
She stated exactly. They robbed me.
What do you feel that they robbed you of now that you look back?
My money and the cell phone off my person.
Okay.
And that is the reason, that's the justification for my federal case, which is now pending.
Pending in the court. Let's show the warrant as well. As we talk about too, fast forward and even during that time, being a businessman, how did this affect your livelihood?
Well, they didn't just take from that. They actually took my computer equipment. They even took the TV off the wall. And then after that, the officer looked at me straight in my face and said, "You're not getting none of this stuff back."
Have you? You didn't?
Oh, all of my stuff, just about everything is, just about all of my computer stuff, everything has already been returned back to me.
It has. Okay. Now,
yes.
What are we looking at right here on the screen?
I think that is the back side
of the affidavit.
Of the affidavit.
Okay, we need the warrant. Let's see.
That's stating that they're gaining the warrant based on a reliable informant, but there's no information verifying that the information from this alleged informant was factual. There's no information of previous encounters. And if it was, who's not to say it could have been a paid informant? You have a lot of people who just get money just to, do stuff. And money is a good, I should say, it's a bad influence, because if someone tells you, hey, you give me this information, I'm going to pay you some money. Well, what keeps this person from telling a lie?
Good point to bring out. Come back to us and let's show the video. We'll do box to box as we prepare to open up the phone lines. But let's go back to you, dealing with you on a personal level. Did this affect your family?
It killed my computer business.
It totally killed your business,
Totally.
which took money out of your pocket.
Absolutely.
How long was that process?
Well, I'm just now trying to get that.
You're just recovering.
I'm just now getting my computer business, trying to get it back up on my feet. I had laptops and stuff there that belonged to customers, and
okay.
If you think about it, if you're one of my customers and I have your laptop, and all of a sudden now I'm telling you I don't have it anymore and I can't give it back, well, I hate to say it, but in Danville it's word of mouth, and a negative word of mouth spreads very quickly.
I do agree with that. Reputation wise. So
Yeah,
how did you make it in the meantime with your computer business being temporarily stifled?
Well, I was the head tailor for Jay Berman's and Abe Coplin's for a number of years.
Okay.
So I'm
you
back.
did have another trade, so that's good.
Yeah. So basically I've gone back to doing alterations and just doing piecework.
Reputation-wise, and because you said that word of mouth will kill your business, so we know that it killed your business. But
Yes.
Personally, how did this affect you? How did you have supporters? I'm sure that you had those.
My family was
very supportive.
Very supportive.
Okay.
I have extended family here in Danville. See, a lot of actual people don't realize both sides of my family are from here.
Okay.
Actually, my great grandfather was Reverend Johnson,
All right. Which Johnson was that?
who founded White Rock Baptist Church.
All right.
That was my grandmother's father,
Okay.
who was a member of Lower Baptist before she passed.
Wow.
Very good
So
friends.
you have strong family roots here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
She was very good friends with Reverend Dole Thomas before he passed.
Yes, the old Thomas. Yes.
Yeah, I mean
Junior,
he was loved by everybody.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Absolutely. So you have strong support. So that's a good thing because you need support in cases like this. You have you have sons.
Yes.
So
yeah.
let's talk about your children. Did this affect them at all in any way?
Oh, very much so.
Really? How?
Well, actually, because of so much time that I have been self-employed mainly so I would be there as being supportive because I have full legal and physical custody, and I've had custody of my children since they were 6 months and a year old. They're now 15 and one going on 17 next month.
You have teenagers.
Yes, and everybody know when you got teenagers what that means.
Now they are at the age where they can understand. They're at a certain age of reasoning. So how did you explain this to them where they would understand? And then let me ask you this. It's a two-part question. How did you explain it to them? And how do they feel about the system and the police department?
Well, being that the fact that they actually physically weren't in the house when it took place, which is a blessing.
Yeah, yes, that is.
You know, because I've heard of situation recently. Just someone indicated that one of these officers from the street crime unit came up into someone's house, and I believe they had a warrant. I don't know the details, but the person, no adult was home, but there was 3 minors, aging from I think from something like 17. Down to 9.
Okay.
And and this officer had put all 3 of these children in handcuffs.
Oh, wow.
And then contacted the parents. You know.
Why did they put the children in handcuffs? Do you know? And then it's a whole different story, so we don't want to go into that. We don't want to go into that.
I don't even know the details.
Okay, right.
You know, to me,
But I just think with children, it's traumatic.
Yeah.
With adults, it's traumatic. With when an arrest is made, and then how this took place. But with children, I just always think about
like
the
I
children.
said, it was a blessing that they were actually playing at my neighbor's next door.
Okay.
But of course, I had my friend who was actually there, who lived at the home, go next door and told them to stay there.
So they had no knowledge of what was going on.
At the moment, they just knew the police was present. They didn't know what was going on because they were next door. But afterwards, they became aware of it. And it affected them very much emotionally. Really?
How are they now? And again, my second part of that question is, how do they feel about authority? What do you say to them about the system and about police? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it down the middle?
I try to let them know that this is not a standard of police officers. You know, in my eyes, there are more good police officers than bad ones. But unfortunately, all you hear in the news are the negative things. And it seems like the news, that's all they want to do is, but I think it's good for people to be aware because you put it out there. And if you don't hear it, you won't know.
So this doesn't change. Knowledge is power. This didn't change your perception in a negative way in the whole scope of police officers.
I admit, I may have had a very naive, idealistic thinking when it comes to police officers that they were, all of them were trustworthy, which I don't think that now.
Really? So it did change your perception. It did change your ideal of authority of who police officers are in a way. And what about Danville? We've always heard, and we still do, even when the streets crime unit first hit the scene, and we know that the red zone areas, you hear a lot of people talk about those areas and how they have been treated. There are some situations that we could get into, but we won't. We don't have enough time.
Well, the Supreme Court has already made rulings indicating that just because a person is in what they call a red zone, it's still not a justification for an illegal or what they seizure or what they call a Terry stop.
Right.
You
Stay
know.
right there. We need to take a break. When we come back, now we're going to open the phone lines. So if you have been watching and if you have been sitting by and you've been waiting to call into the show, call us now, as a matter of fact. You can call in so that we'll have you on hold when we come back to the break. And you can talk to Alvin Sutherlin. If you have any questions about what you've seen tonight, especially the video, the warrants, the affidavits, and even his pending case, which he can't talk about too much. But you can ask him some general questions tonight. 835-4802. We're ready to talk to you after. Let's take that call. Good evening, caller. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Miss Jessica.
And good evening to you. Mr. Charles, what do you think about this story tonight?
To me, it sounds like someone ain't done their homework downtown at the police department,
Let's do box to box, Fabian. Go ahead, Charles.
and normally, you know what they got in the streets, in these red zones, people who talk to the popo, I'm going to call them that. In other words, the people that talk to the police and stuff and say stupid stuff, maybe that don't have their facts. To me, what it is, they look like they ain't got no evidence on this gentleman here, and to me, they need to get the facts straight before they raid a house, and plus they could do a better job when they went in, it looked like.
Do you have any questions for him tonight? I know you do.
Well, sir, I wish you a lot of luck in your court case, and I hope you don't get. I hope you get out of it, and I hope you are found innocent.
Well, right now, I have the suit that I filed is against the police officers, so they are now the defendants.
Wow, so this on the other side.
Right. The shoe is now on the other foot, to your corner phrase.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Miss Jessica, and see you next week.
All right, listen, thank you. Let's talk about that. The shoe is on the other foot, and you also have a complaint within the police department. How does that process work?
Well, I actually submitted this information, that took place to WSET. It's okay to another
Yeah, it is. And
Channel
let's put up now, if we can, your reaction, because we want to get you all to call in. You can actually call us now if you have any questions. 835-4802. Go ahead.
Well, I submitted in this information to see if I could, to the WSET Channel 13, and I was contacted by a reporter who came to my home, and I provided them.
Let's take a call. Hey, good evening, caller. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was calling to see, did he actually sell marijuana to an undercover cop?
No,
He didn't.
because if that was true, my name would have been on the warrant, which it was not, and I would have been arrested that day, which I was not.
Okay, so you believe that the cops were wrong in doing what they were doing without a warrant?
Well, thing is that I was not in the location defined on the warrant. After they left, I actually was able to see the warrant. It didn't have my name on it, and the area that it was defined to be searched, I wasn't even in that location. So with those two
Because I know a couple of red zones on the south side, the street unit patrol's pretty heavy over there, and they do stop people just because you are in a red zone.
Oh, yeah, but I was in my home.
Okay.
I wasn't out on the street. I was actually, in the sanctity of my home, cooking dinner for my children at the time. Officers came in and stated as if they had a no-knock warrant, which they didn't, then indicated to me as if the warrant they had my name on it, which it did not.
So you don't have no
Priors, I think he's asking.
Oh, no. I have like
bill
this.
at all.
I have never had anything on my record. When they came with that warrant, they didn't have any thing that they could say, hey, this guy has a record of this and that.
You had no priors.
No priors. Maybe a speeding ticket.
Oh, okay. Caller, does that answer your questions?
Yes, it does.
All right, listen, I appreciate you for calling in. Can we show that warrant? We're going to try to get Fabian to show the warrant so that folks can see that warrant.
I think what he had up was the actual affidavit.
He had the affidavit,
Yeah.
but the warrant, I think.
The warrant is a little bit different.
Okay, 835-4802 if you want to call in tonight. Has this ever happened to you? Can you relate to what Mr. Sutherlin went through back in 2013? Give us a call tonight, and we're so gracious that you're taking these calls. Good evening, caller. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Hey, good evening. Good to hear from you.
Good. You know what? I too because that happened to me here in Marksville, where they arrested me
Sorry to hear that.
off of nothing, but they worried of one person, which was a felon, and I did 20 months in jail. And,
Wow.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and the Commonwealth, she did that. She knew that it wasn't true, but she did that to make a name for herself, to get promoted to higher positions, and the ethics of people in positions and power is a disgrace to be over in charge with power.
Let me ask you, what do you think about his particular case? I know you've been watching and you see the video. What is your reaction and your response to this?
Well, like I said, I understand how you feel when somebody comes and accuse you for something you didn't do and put you through the ringer. I sympathize with him, and then his family got to go through all of that. And I had a business too, and I lost my business and all of that too. So I understand exactly what you're going through.
I feel your pain. I do feel your pain, sir.
And we're supposed to be innocent to proven guilty, but they never prove you guilty. But everybody put you innocent. Guilty.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we appreciate you for giving us a call tonight. And again, I can hear that in your voice as you're talking about it and recalling the events that occurred. Let's talk about your relationship with police officers now. How is that? Has it affected you in any way? Do you get looks, or how do they react to you? Because you know that they know you.
Actually, I had a looks. I was actually over his sheets putting air in my tire, and I saw a group of officers in front of over his sheets at the store, and I could see from a distance who they were, and they were part of the street crime unit, and I can tell by their actions that they recognized who I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. 835-4802. We do have a few minutes left if you want to call in and talk to Alvin. Come on.
I was contacted by the Department of Professional Standards, which I guess you could call it Internal Affairs.
Okay, within the Danville Police Department.
Right.
Okay.
And I was contacted by the person who runs that, which is the Captain Haley. Very, very, very good officer. I have to give him props.
Okay.
He has a hard job, to do. And he contacted me personally to come and file a complaint, which I did.
Yeah, we were talking about that, so we want to let you finish that, of course.
I filed a complaint stating that these officers what they did was an illegal search and seizure.
Okay, we're going to let you finish after we take this call. Good evening, caller. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, how you doing tonight?
Hey, it's good to hear from you. Haven't heard from you in a while.
Yeah. But anyway, what I'm calling about is that the situation that happened to the brother there, this has been going on for years. And I bet you it isn't happening more than you really realize, because see, a lot of people would not even come up or do anything about it. You know what I'm saying? And that brother there had the audacity. He's a strong, and he filed a complaint. A lot of people don't do nothing. They just let it go. They talked about it in the street. The cops ran in my house, took my stuff, and blase, but then they don't do nothing else.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm glad that brother, he came on up and stood to his stall, because
Thank you.
the people know what's going on. The people downtown, they know what's going on, And the same people that you complain about the situation is the one probably okayed it. They know. They all work together. And I'm sure that
I have to go along with what he's saying.
You agree with him, what he's saying?
Well, when I was sitting up there filing my complaint, I was asked, do I believe it's a conspiracy? And I looked at him. I said, I never thought of it, but that makes sense. Because the video that is showing is actually no more than maybe 30 minutes long, but yet these officers were in my home for maybe 3 to 4 hours, and the longest video I don't have no video longer than 30 minutes long. So that means that there's information that was never turned over, which according to law is called a Brady violation.
Wow. Caller, go ahead and finish out.
Look, Alvin, let me tell you what happened to me one time, man.
Yeah.
They came in the house, and they searched the house out. You know, I wasn't there at that time, but the people that were there, you know, they searched the house. They was looking for drugs and looking for cocaine, you know, and they came in with a same thing with you. They came in with a warrant, no name on it, you know, looking for something that wasn't even on the warrant.
Well, that's outside. That's considered outside the venue of the warrant.
Right.
Yes.
You know. Well, that's what I'm trying to say.
So this has happened to you.
They've been doing this stuff, man. They're doing it, and they've been getting away with it, man. And it's bad because a lot of people, man, have suffered consequences behind this stuff because they come in your house and they find something that's not on the warrant, and then what they do, they take it downtown, and then they come back with another warrant.
Yeah.
You see where I'm coming from?
Well, yeah. I mean,
They still
yeah.
get in your house.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, the way the law is, if it's something that they can find and it's out in plain sight, they can do that. But let's just say, if they're looking for something and it's bigger than a bread box, as an example, and they're looking in a small little box where this item could never be fit into it, then that would be considered outside the venue of the warrant. But I know someone, they actually did that and they brought it up. Then actually it was. The case was right here in the General District Court, and the judge ruled that it was the officers were outside the venue of the warrant, and the charges were dismissed.
Wow. And caller, we have about 4 minutes left. You know, I appreciate you for calling in today.
Yeah, I know, but I'm gonna let somebody else call. But that was an illegal search and seizure, man. Hey, you have a nice night.
Thank you.
You have a good night as well. 835-4802. In the last few minutes, moving forward, where do you go from here, and what's next for Alvin Sutherlin?
Well, I pondered on filing the federal lawsuit, and of course in Virginia you have 2 years. After 2 years, you have to bite
the statute of limitations.
Right, statute of limitations. Okay. And I before the statute of limitations was up, I made a decision to file, and I did so because if I don't stand up and try to make things right, then I'm not doing what I should be doing. Because not just that, I knew I wasn't the only one this happened to. And I know for a fact that if no one does anything, it will never change.
What made you, and I like to use the term too, the aha moment, or the moment of recollection and thinking that made you say, I've got to do something?
When I realized that I had a public defender who was working for them.
Wow, that's a whole different.
Oh yeah.
That's a whole hour. And
yeah.
Speaking of which, will you be able to come back? Can we trust that you will come back and give us an update on this story once you go through the courts?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay, listen, we have appreciated this hour because I have learned so much in the hour, and we wanted to give his side. Of course, this is his side, told his way from what happened to him, and I appreciate those who called in tonight. And we're going to try to take this call real quickly. We've got about a minute. Caller, could you be really quick? We've got a minute to go. Go ahead.
Okay, how you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing wonderful. How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Good.
And to the young gentleman that's sitting up there with you, being that no drugs in your house and the way that you dress and everything, because you're living in a red zone area, that's what they think. Black folks, they don't supposed to dress like that. I mean, it's crazy.
Wow, listen.
It's really crazy because you dress the way you dress, and they think because you're living in a red zone, they think that you got going on, and you are not doing none of the above.
Right, right. And listen, I hate that I have to go, but I'm getting a wrap-up signal. Thank you for calling in.
Okay.
Thank you so much. On that note, we got to go, Alvin. Can you come back and talk with us again? And we appreciate your time. We appreciate the video. And again, you
know
can
your rights.
Know your rights. And you
That's
can see
right.
that video on not only his Facebook page, connect with him there, but also on YouTube. And we will talk with you real soon. Have a